Hey, so I just had this experience, and I don't know, just wanted to share it because I'm thinking about it. Um, so I just got back to clinching today. Like, I've not really been clinching for 2 months because my foot was broken and I wasn't able to do anything. So I'm coming back into training kind of gradually, and um, I went back to Sor Clinmy, which does really, really intense afternoon sessions. I was doing afternoon sessions there before my last WBC title fight, so I've been there for a couple of months in the afternoons, and I wasn't really sure whether I'd be able to do pad work there or not, but I went to do clinching because with that on my foot, I know that I can do that. So when I get there, everyone's like doing their own thing, and so I start like messing around on the bag because I needed to, warm myself up and keep myself busy before my clinching partner was ready. Bank was still doing pad work and stuff like this, and so I just went into like automatic mode. Like I've been at this gym for months, so I have a routine of what happens when I walk through the door. So I walk through the door and immediately do 300 knees on the bag. This is like how I start my time there. And I have not done knees on the bag like this, like skip knees on the bag. I've not done in the 2 months that my foot's been broken. And I didn't even think to myself, like, am I able to do this? Which I probably should have thought about first, and I didn't. But it was okay. Like, none of it hurt, like, directly. Like, nothing, like, when I was on my foot hurt. But I started getting this kind of weird, like, zingy feeling right where my break was. And I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. Like, so I decided that I was going to not do all 300 of them, and I was going to skip doing pad work, and that I would just do my clinching. But it made me think about this thing, which is that when you have spent a lot of time in a space, like if you've been training at a gym for a long time, or if you always go to the same gym when you come to Thailand, or whatever these things are, any place that you've spent a lot of time, you have a routine and you have this kind of like automatic autopilot kind of thing that happens when you go there. And this is what happened just in me starting to knee the bag. Like, this is literally just like, this is what you do when you walk through the door. And that's kind of a like mundane example. Like, that's something that only matters because of my foot and things like this. But it's something that I've come up against many, many times over and over again about going back into the gym after training with legends, or after filming for the library, or after working on something. Like, I go in with this intention of like, I'm going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to start focusing on this thing or that thing. And it's very hard to maintain that concentration and to keep doing something new in a space that you already have routines in. And it made me think of, this is going to be a spoiler, so if you haven't seen this movie that's been out for a number of years, I don't know if you have to give spoiler warnings for movies that have been out for years, but if you haven't seen this movie, it's called The Happiest Seasons with Kristen Stewart. And she and her girlfriend go home to her girlfriend's house for Christmas, and Kristen Stewart is like going to pop the question, like, everything's been going really great. Their life together in the city, they live together, everything's very wonderful, and their relationship is great. And then as they're driving to her girlfriend's house, it comes out that she's not out to her parents, even though that she said that she had come out to her parents last year. And so it's this horrible situation where not only does the girlfriend of Kristen Stewart go back into the closet when she goes home, but she forces Kristen Stewart's character back into the closet when she goes back home with her, because she's like, oh, this is my roommate, this is my friend, like, totally not the relationship that they have in the city. And it's this thing, like, when you go home, or if you are hanging around people who are, you're one person with these people and you're kind of someone else somewhere else, you go back into the patterns of being around those people. When Kevin came home with me for Christmas for the first time when we had first started dating, he was amazed at how I just disappeared. Because for him, I'm this very, like, prominent, whatever. Like, my relationship with Kevin, I speak my mind, we're like very comfortable together, all these things. But in my family, I'm the youngest of four. I kind of disappear into my family, and I'm just this kind of like glue that holds a lot of stuff together. And then I'll just say something kind of sarcastic or make fun of one of my brothers or something. And this is not a person that he was aware of. Like, he'd never seen this version of myself because he'd never seen me with my family before. And for me, I'm like, this is just, you just go back into the part in the machine. You're this sprog in the machine, and that's how you fit when that machine is working. And so this is what was happening when I went back into the gym today, and I just kind of went back into my routine very thoughtlessly. And obviously there are degrees of this. Like, there's a degree of like not being your authentic self. Like, going back into the closet and your families are terrible things. And then there's the kind of like not being mindful of, or not being aware of the routines, or not even being aware of how much your environment shapes you in places that you've spent a lot of time. And it's not necessarily for the better. When I was hitting the bag, like, let alone that I had gone into this routine of doing knees on the bag and kind of hurt my foot a little bit, but I started like hitting the bag, and the way I was hitting it was this very mindless, like, this is just how I hit a bag without really thinking about it. And I was like, God, this is not what I was intending to work on. Like, this is not what Bang San was showing me in the most recent Muay Thai library session. These are things that I've been thinking about and things that I've been wanting to work on. And it's like, you have to be mindful of those things, especially in a space that you're familiar in. Like, if I went to Chor Hapayat gym again with Bang San, and he's standing there, he's watching me, I'm going to be able to do all of the things that he's asking me to do because I'm like aware of it. Another example is today I went to do my weight training, and I've hired a personal trainer to teach me how to lift weights so that I have the correct forms, because then I can go and like not hurt myself lifting heavier weights. And there was a problem today, and he wasn't able to come without me knowing that he wasn't able to come. So I thought I was going to go train with him today, and I ended up training myself. And I can feel the difference and the kind of like lack of focus that I have when I don't have him watching me or checking my form or something like this. And it doesn't need to be that way. Like, at least I'm aware of the fact that I don't pay attention. Like, at least I caught myself and was like, oh, I could probably be more aware of that. And I filmed myself doing one of the exercises that he had wanted me to do today to send to him so that he could check it. And lo and behold, I just had to look at the video, and I'm like, I can see my elbows in the wrong spot. But if I had not filmed that, I wouldn't have known that. And it's just the habit of me, you know, putting my headphones on and listening to my audiobook and things like this. I'm not paying attention to how I take up that space or how I perform in that space, because it shapes you. The habits of you having been there for so long shape you. The person you are in your family, or if you're closeted in your family and you're not your authentic self, the way you are in the city, and you go home, you become a very different person in that space, and it can be very damaging. And I'm talking about in the gym too. Like, the things that you automatically do in that space can be very damaging to you too. So that's just helpful to be aware of. I'm happy that I became aware of that today. I think that's really helpful in terms of how I'm going to enter that space tomorrow, and hopefully be a little bit more on top of myself and what I'm trying to do, and not kind of going into the autopilot of that space. Even though I have so much kind of history in the space, you can always rewrite things. Yeah. And happy Pride Month. Don't go back into the closet for your family, and absolutely do not force other people back in order to fit into your situations either. The movie is actually really beautiful. It has a really intense, it's very uncomfortable a lot of the time. It's a comedy, but it has a lot of discomfort because of how real so much of that stuff is. And Kristen Stewart is absolutely incredible. I can't believe that she became as amazing as she is, given that she started in Twilight. But you know what? Yet another example of being able to overcome whatever it is you start at.